What's happening, party people? Welcome to my weekend review. Man, this is just a couple of days, 2 days worth of video footage on this one where I was working on this yellow one, doing that restoration modification. So, got into a few things, corrected something on the boost gauge, and did several other things. So, here it is. I appreciate you tuning in. If you're looking for step-by-step detailed instructions, this is not that video, but those videos should be linked in the description area below. And this video, I started to install the AFR system. That segment of the video was long, so I separated that, made that member only or Patreon video there. So you're welcome to go see that, check that out if you're a Patreon or a member of this site. So, hey, I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions, need any help, need some parts or something like that, watch the clip at the end of the video. It will tell you how to get in contact with me. And you can always go to my website and look to see what parts I have there already on the website. I have a lot of other parts in my storage and in my possession, so I may have or probably have what you need if you're looking for something for a P80 Volvo 850 SV70 from 93 all the way up to 2000. So there you have it. I do take special orders for getting parts. I usually require a deposit because, man, I have a lot of parts that people have asked me to get them out of salvage yards and stuff that they never double back and paid for. I don't know if they didn't like my pricing, decided to do something else with the car. Nonetheless, they send me to the junkyard, I get the parts, and then I'm stuck holding the bag, which is not the end of the world, but it's not ideal. So that's that. Now, there's a couple people that ask me for parts that I do have, that I have gotten, but I can't find your contact information to let you know I have the parts you needed. Or one of these parts was a knob from a MCC climate control unit. I can't find who asked for it. It's sitting here on my desk. I'd like to ship it to you, but I just don't know where to ship it to. So that's that. If you want me to get you a part, I get a lot of parts requests, most of which are serious. A few of them are not. Man, please don't be ashamed to contact me weekly until I find your part. Sometimes I find it the next day and I've gotten so many messages in, I can't find your message because I failed to write it down. I'm not as organized as I need to be. But hey, if you need it, I probably have it. Don't get in your feelings and get all silly about why I didn't send you a part or why I forgot about it. Man, look, I got a lot going on. Grow up, send me another message. And if this hurts your feelings, I don't know what to tell you. You know, just maturity is a thing that most of us adults need to aspire to. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you watch the video. I'm going to work on mixing this AFR installation video and get that uploaded today. And man, hopefully it'll quit raining so I could finish this engine swap I'm working on this 850R. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Peace. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you could click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Kicking off the Tinker Day. Hooked up my jump box. To the electrical lead. I put a piece of wood on the brake pedal. Push the brake pedal in a little bit. I came out here, soldered these wires on with my heat shrink solder stuff, and I have two brake lights out, number 4 and number 6. So I'm gonna replace those. Let me tuck these wires in here and keep it moving. Disconnect this jump bar, and there it is, all tucked in. I probably should have hook those wires up and tuck that in there before I installed it, but I didn't, so this is where we are. Now let me get the clips, attach them on both sides, and I'll be done with that until I replace those bulbs. And there we go. All the bulbs are working. Let's close that back up. Next, I'm getting ready to close up this area here near the firewall, put the wipers and stuff on. I see I have a 10 amp fuse missing from number 30. I need to put that in. I don't have any spare fuses in the fuse box, so I need to put some fuses in there. Also, you need to pull this cruise control relay and break off this pin here, 3T. That needs to be broken off. So let me do that, close this area up, install these wipers, continue to move forward. We clean this off. However, the seal is loose on it as usual, so I'm going to glue that seal on there with some double-sided tape. I just glued this seal on here with double-sided molding tape. Now I'm going to install that and get the wipers installed. I'm going to leave this, unfortunately, like it is, this thing that goes to this radar detector. I don't know if he wants that left on or not. I'll let him deal with that. All right, let's get this on. If I find a box for a cabin air filter, I'm going to put that on over there. Put a gasket on there. I got this secure zip tie on this one. The spring clip was visible, so I put it on that one. I replaced this wiper arm because the one that was on the car was rusted. Put that one on. Now I need to find some nice wiper blades for it. So next I'm going to put the cover on this fuse box, get some spare fuses, and put the seal on there. I got the wiper arms installed. I got the seals cleaned off and installed. I broke the pin off of that cruise relay, put that in. Now I'm gonna put a fuse in there, put this fuse panel cover on, and put some spare fuses in there. Panel installed, 10 amp installed, some spare fuses put there, a fuse puller put there. I could close that up. We have the new exhaust hung. It's the muffler, that tip. We have it sticking out just a little bit. Just a little bit. Come out any further than that, you're gonna be getting burnt. And that's my theory. I normally have mine in maybe about a 1/2 inch, so that between right there is where I normally have mine, where it's even with the black plastic, yellow, and boom, there's my tip. But if it's out any further than that, you're going to get burnt. So that's where it's at. He can pull it out if you want. Let's move on to the next task at hand. So that's the kind of nonsense the last exhaust was hung on with, strapped to the bumper and stuff. Get rid of that garbage. The exhaust is just about touching up there. I think it might have like 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to pull these hangers down in the back about 1/4 of an inch to give it a little more space so it doesn't bang over bumps. I was able to get about 1/4 of an inch there. Be nice to get a 1/2 inch, but take what you get. I'm gonna leave it there and make sure I don't have any contact when I'm hitting potholes. Next, I got to find that plate that goes across there and reinstall that. One of the 12mm screws is missing, and I got to locate a plate for that. Somebody didn't jack the car properly and close the tip of the jack. That's supposed to be open, so let me fix that real quick. There you have it. It's supposed to be open like that because when you need to jack the car, that piece is supposed to cup the jacking point under there. So here's a jacking point, and that has to go over that jacking point like that. Any other way is wrong. Have all the exhaust bolts torqued and this exhaust shield in, and we are good to go. we could drop the back of this car down and just work on the front. Hooked up the front radiator hose. I was putting the corner lights in. Figured out the wire harness for the corner light on this side wasn't run properly, so I had to take that front clip back loose, run the wire properly. So I decided to check the bulbs in the fog light, and that bulb was burned out. It's kind of a weird bulb. It has that wire on it, so I need to try to find one or two of those. I hadn't checked the bulb on the other side yet, but let me go ahead and check that and keep moving. These are a little hard to get out. They probably should be lubricated when they're put together so they come out easy. But once you get the back of the light bulb holder off of the light assembly, you push these springs in, release them like that. This one's bent, so it didn't want to come out. Then you move that out of the way. Then you could remove the bulb, and it unplugs from the inside of the bulb holder. See, these are a little complicated to replace. Now this one was blown, so I need one. Well, this is a bulb holder that's busted off a fog light, so I got these parts if I need them. So I would put some kind of lubrication in these plastic areas before I reattach these, because other than that, they'll be hard to come out. That's the spare tire, so I got to see if I can find a spare. Both of my fog light bulbs are burnt, so let me check, see what those bulbs are, and order 4 of them real quick on Amazon. Maybe they'll get here in the morning. Had some brand new bulbs in stock, so I was able to replace those bulbs and the fog light assemblies. I also lubricated the inside of the housing, the pins the lights plug into, and the light plug on the outside. So that stuff should be easy to come out next time. Just talked to the owner. He said if I got lenses, he would like these replaced, so I'll probably do that tomorrow. Let me see what's next on my list. We are cruising along. I got the coolant reservoir bottle installed. Put that hose back there, this hose up here. I got the serpentine bracket installed. Now I'm gonna put the ECU box together. I'm not sure if I showed you already, but I got the front coolant hose installed. And I don't know why that's in there. I'm gonna keep moving forward. This is manual now, so it only has the ECU fuel management computer. It doesn't have the transmission computer anymore. All right, let me keep rolling. Oh, I think I said he wanted these lenses replaced, so I'll pull those out and deal with that tomorrow. Here's the computer box. This box is a little different from the 70 series box. It's an 850 box. It's unique to the 850. They have the little clip on the front that allows you to clip the diagnostic thing on there. One thing I like about the 95 cars is got a diagnostic thing out here that pins out almost every error in the car. Flashes it back to you. And it also has an OBD2 port in front of the shifter, which is nice. They say it's not true OBD2, but heck, you could scan and read codes with it, even on the fly. Anyway, I'm going to drop this in. I'm going to lock the computer in. The computer that's going in there is programmable. So that's a nice thing about this performance modifications. We communicate with a guy that remaps the programming on there. Fuel, air, boost, stuff like that, so that we can maximize our performance mods. So this little screw here that secures this box in place has, I call a collar on it, and you do want to make sure you got one of those. Don't lose it. And there it is. That screw goes there. There's 3 clips that clip the side portion of this box to the lower portion of it, and then you just drop that computer in, move this lever over to lock it down, and it's in. We got a boost access port here, so we could read boost on it, because these computers weren't programmed to read boost nowhere else in the car. There's nowhere on the engine or intake system that has boost sensor, so they didn't make that so that that information can be transmitted through the OBD2 port. That's how we do data logging. And then you got your switch here. That's the loader mode. This is the driving mode. I believe when it's in the loader mode, when you turn the key on, the instrument cluster does weird special things and the fan kicks on. Lets you know you're in the program mode. So when you're in the program mode, you have to unplug the fan or run your battery down. So when it's in the forward mode, you don't have that thing happening. So let me find the top to this and keep moving. Sometimes I put my serpentine belt in before I put this in, but it's not a big deal. I could get that serpentine belt in. And this here clips right on here. Diagnostic port. Sometimes these go bad. I think if you clean the ports in the bottom of them out, you can get them to work. But I keep spares, so I have some of those things. Now I'm gonna find the little funnel for the windshield washer bottle reservoir, and this little vacuum line for that clips on the fender over here somewhere. Here's the pump for the cruise control. Has a little screw that goes in there. I need to find a screw for it. It attaches to the bottom of the battery tray, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in and install the battery tray. That's the special screw for that. I had one in my storage stuff. That's how that pump attaches on there. You got a plug there and a vacuum line goes on there. I have the cruise control pump installed. This is the vacuum for it. I'm gonna plug that into it, and that will conclude our fun for today, because it's 7 o'clock and I have to get ready to go to dinner with my family. Friday night. Whoop, whoop. We'll pick this up tomorrow morning. Well, I said I was done, but I put the blanket back over the engine and I found this. So I put that in there. The funnel for the headlight washer fluid. And I put the top of the box on the ECU. And I wanted to show you guys the incredible job Mita did cleaning up this trunk. I don't know if you guys seen the inside of this trunk before, but wow, beautiful job, man. She even got most of the oil stains off. People had thrown oil saturated covered parts back here, and she got most of that stuff clean. She also cleaned the back seat area and have that ready. I just realized it's missing the right rear floor mat. I'll see if I got one of those spare. But anyway, that's where we're at. Here we are, folks. Another day, another $5. I tell people that if you're broke, every $5 should matter. So hey, if somebody's out there and they want to give me $5 a month or something like that, man, that adds up. I'm all for it. This project, man, projects, some people know they could take months, and this one has. Kind of got me by surprise, because when I bought this car, I was told that the only thing that it really needed was the engine. They said the engine was dismantled. I didn't even know it didn't come with a transmission. I bought it sight unseen. They didn't even send me pictures. But, you know, I got it what I consider cheap. I believe that everything I put into it, I could sell it and get that back. These cars on bat in good condition. I mean, low mileage, which this one is. In good condition, these things are selling anywhere from $18,000 to $24,000, $25,000. So my belief was I could get it. Anything I put into it, I can get back. Now that's unlike some cars. You just fixing them just to keep them on the road. You don't get nothing for fixing the air conditioner on the car. If you're trying to sell a car and you fix the air conditioner, nobody's paying for that. Car was supposed to have air conditioner. Why would I pay you to fix something that it should have? So, that was my thoughts. Now, I have not one, not two, not three, but I have four of these things. Not the same color, but the same concept. I should be able to get what the car is worth back in my work. And in somebody's field that's self-employed and doing things they like, that's nice to get your money out of something. I've seen people put 15, 20, $30,000 into a car and sell it for 15,000. That's kind of rough when you put that much into it. Now, they're normally not into it that much out of pocket, but we all know time is money. So when you're putting 40, 80, 100 hours into something, 400 hours into something, it'd be good to get some of your money back, your time back in money. That doesn't always work out for people, especially for people working on older project cars. So this one here, I bought it with the understanding that, hey, it was a complete car short of an engine, and it's been a lot of surprises. So I'm a little disappointed in it. Will I still get back what I put into it? Probably. In some cases, maybe not. I may be a couple thousand short, but I'm probably not going to lose money time-wise. But anyway, I agreed to sell the car to somebody running, which means that the only thing they should have had to pay for was improvements, project improvements they wanted me to do for it or to it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I thank God I agreed to sell it for a decent price, because this could have been a disaster. So, as you know, I've been working on this car. Man, it's going on 4 months. Usually, I can purchase a car, have it up and running, serviced, ready to go. 3 weeks on average, sometimes 4. But this car had so many things hacked up, missing, misplaced, hidden, so on and so forth, that it's taken me a lot to get this thing going. It's taken me a lot. I'm still discovering things that's wrong with it. Like yesterday, I decided to put these corner lights in it. I see this one has a crack in it. I don't know if the guys will have a problem with that or not. I could replace that. Wouldn't mind replacing it. If he wants to pay for the part, I'll do the labor for free. It's a 5-10 minute job. Those 5-10 minute jobs add up. Yesterday I put 5 hours into it and got half the list done. Let me show you the list, what I did yesterday and what I need to do today. Like, one of the things that I decided to do when I hooked up the wiring to that, I noticed the wiring for the fog lights was disconnected. So I said, hey, let me check, see if the fog lights bulbs are good. They were not. Both bulbs were blown. I had to go to my storage area here where I keep new parts. I found bulbs for it I didn't know I had. So I did replace the bulbs in it. So the fog lights should work. Brand new bulbs. Couple bucks for the bulbs. Probably an hour dealing with it, because those things are delicate. You got to be careful not to destroy them. Testing them, taking them apart, putting the bulbs in. I might have burned an hour, maybe not that much, but all this time adds up. So let me show you the list that I did yesterday and what I need to do today. So this is the list I made, thinking that this was all I needed to do to finish this car. And as I begin to do it, I found out more stuff. Like, one thing that's not on this list is these trim pieces that go under the lights and above the bumper. Then yesterday the guy told me he'd like to get these ugly headlight lenses off of there. So I got to go in my storage, which I have here, and pull out 2 headlights and replace those. 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10-15 minutes digging them out of there. That's going to be 30 minutes that I'm going to spend replacing these light bulbs. Billable minutes, but 30 minutes, which kicks the project back longer. So here's the list that I had yesterday. Let me just go over what I did. I finished the exhaust. I installed the upper coolant hose to the radiator. I installed the exhaust guard under the car. I installed the piece that goes between the firewall and the windshield. Now when I did that, the gasket on it was falling apart, so I had to clean the underside of it, clean the upper side of it. I had to put molding tape on it, and then I had to attach the seal to it before I put it back on. That way it could have, you know, somewhat of a proper seal, I guess, to it. I installed the ECU box. I put in the ECU. I finished the rear spoiler. The rear spoiler had wires cut on it, so I installed the brackets, the securing brackets, one on each side. Then I needed to connect the wires to it. Then I tested it. Had to get my jump box out to test it. The light assembly had 2 of the bulbs bad out of, I think it has 6 bulbs. 2 were blown, so I had to take it apart, fix those bulbs. I put fuses in it. It didn't have any spare fuses. I put that fuse panel on. I put that piece across the windshield on, made sure that was proper. I put the gaskets on there. I cleaned the gaskets on it because they were just kind of cruddy with debris, stuff like that. I adjusted the cruise control relay for a manual car instead of automatic car. I installed the wiper arms. Like I said, did the fog light. I installed the corner lights, made sure those sockets were good. We got the trunk cleaned out, and I don't know, maybe a couple other nitpicking thing. I installed the coolant reservoir. I put the hoses on the coolant reservoir, and, you know, just a couple things like that. So what I have left to complete this project, I'm going to put wiper blades on. I do have those on hand, so I'm going to install those. I'm going to clean the dirt buildup off the windshield before I put those wiper blades on. Wiper blades are really not made for cleaning your windshield. They're made for getting the water buildup off of them. So when it's raining, those wiper blades get that off. If you have stuff on your windshield, bugs, dirt, leaves, stuff like that stuck to them, wiper blades are really not made to clean that off. You should clean that off, then use your wiper blades to remove rainwater. I'm going to install a serpentine belt. I did install a serpentine belt bracket yesterday. I'm going to service the AC. I'm going to purge the fuel system. I'm going to service the coolant system. I'm going to bleed the clutch system. I'm going to service the transmission. I'm going to install 2 CV axles. Both CV axles was missing off the car. That's a couple $100. Install the AFR system. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to do the wiper blades, and then I'm going to get on that, because that wiring and stuff needs to be done while I have the space. Once I install the turbo tubes, that'll interrupt space for that. I'm going to flash a new tune. We're putting a tune in for the AFR system, so it'll run off of that tune. The AFR system, O2 system, instead of the stock O2 sensor system. AFR wideband is faster response, maybe 5 times faster than your standard O2 sensor system. I'm going to flash a tune for that. I'm going to install the turbo piping, test drive the car. I'm going to send a data log to the tuner so he can send me a first round tune. Then I'm going to flash that tune. I'm going to install the bumper, the lower piece, lower spoiler, install the boost gauge. Somebody had that installed ganky, you know. I'm going to install it properly. I'm going to wire for the gauges. I'm going to install a pillar pod. I'm going to take it to the state for a VIN check. Probably not going to do that in time today. Have to do that Monday morning. And then I'm going to get a new title for it. I'm sure I'm going to run into some things that is not on that list. But, you know, like finish the interior, and a few other things involved in making sure this is all right. I think I need to install a fuse and fuse holder for the AFR gauge system, which I don't know if I have handy or not. But anyway, that's what I got scheduled. I don't know if I'll get it all done today. I'm going to do a half day today and then get back on it tomorrow. So we'll see how much I get done today. That thing needs a better grill than that. The Volvo logo is, man, almost invisible on that grill. That thing looks like it's clapped out. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off by cleaning the windshield up enough to put the wiper blades on, and then I'm going to get on this AFR system. So let's get cracking. Thanks for joining. Well, I must say I'm actually surprised I don't already have a video on this, but on this vehicle we're doing a performance upgrade, and we are going to install a AEM performance gauge, air fuel ratio gauge system. It's a performance gauge. The company that made this one's AEM. Man, they used to be respected as number one. I purchased one of these, put it in the car, and the sensor was bad. So I contacted them, and they told me I need to buy another sensor because it took me too long to install it. They said the warranty expired, even though it was only in the car for 3-4 days. So best not to buy this stuff until you're ready to do the modifications. A lot of us like to collect parts and then do our performance mods. Unfortunately, when we do that, we lose warranties. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to show you how to install this. I thought I had a video already showing this, but I don't. In the box, you get, of course, the gauge, a bracket on the back of it to secure the gauge. This fits perfectly in the normal gauge pod. You get a harness that goes all the way from the sensor under the engine off the exhaust to the gauge. You got to wire this thing through the firewall all the way up to your gauge. It plugs in the back of the gauge. You have two plugs there. One of them's 8-pin. The other one looks like 10-pin. Boom, that plugs in there. And it gives you information off of the sensor. Then you need to power the gauge and stuff. That's where this harness comes in. So you plug it in, you use the wires that you need for your system. All cars won't need all the wires. These look like maybe 18 gauge wires. So you could run these wires to where they need to be wired to. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to wire this. You also get a bung. A bung is the threaded thing that is welded to the exhaust downpipe so that you can screw your additional O2 sensor in. This is the plug for it. It's a wideband O2 sensor. We actually purchased a different one, which is a Bosch branded one, because our tuner needs the Bosch branded one to do the tune properly in the system. So I already screwed this into the downpipe. You see the downpipe there. We're not using the regular O2 sensor. We're using this wideband O2 sensor because I think that gives you information 5 times faster than your regular O2 sensor. A wideband sensor may sample the air going down the exhaust, let's say 50 times a second, where your regular O2 sensor will give you that information 10 times per second. So this is able to send information to the computer so that the computer can keep your air fuel ratio mixed with the demands of your performance, your aggressive acceleration, stuff like that. Your car should run smoother, quicker response, less chance of damaging the engine with knock, stuff like that. So in this video, again, I'm going to show you how to install this into the Volvo P80 cars. It may apply to other cars as well, but this will allow you to get the gauge system installed so that you can tune your car, have it tuned, get proper readings, stuff like that. This is a performance mod. Detailed instructions those are, I guess, no longer freebies with me. And actually, there's a few performance mod videos that's over in my Patreon side. The people that's Patreon paid members get to see those for free. And, well, I guess it's not free because they're paid Patreon members. And I'm going to make this a members only video as well. So if you want to see these instructions on how to get this system installed, become a member. Other than that, you can just read their instructions and communicate with your tuner and get yours installed for yourself. And this is the access to run wires through the firewall into the car. After I get everything ran, I'm probably going to tape this access off because there's not going to be much space for other things. It has this little plug on there that you can run individual wires through and plug that. However, there's really not much space for this once you run a couple of wires through with this harness. Reverse light to this side of this post here, trying to make sure everything is clear of the shifting cables and mechanism. I'm gonna run a few wires through this loom access just for future possible use or for pulling something through there later. So here I got about 8 inches sticking out of the loom there. I go under the dash and I got the wire hanging down here about 6-7 inches sticking out here, so it's probably a good length. So I'm gonna take a few wires this length, cut them loose and run them through there. I'm gonna run a black, a green, and a yellow and a red through there, along with this harness here that plugs into that sensor. So let me go ahead and cut them. Let me tell you the length of these, just so you know, because I'm a nerd. I measured it, we'll call it 32 inches, 2 feet, 8 inches. There you have it. Good length for running through that loom. I put shrink wrap on the wire ends so that they don't take on elements and get corroded. And I'm gonna run the other ends through the harness loom. Took a little lunch break, about a half hour to eat. I got this wire pushed through there. Oop, left my light on. Didn't mean to do that. Well, to my surprise, that felt like it pushed through. So I'm gonna tape this closed. Just got a little space there, maybe enough for another small harness or 3 or 4 more wires. And I'm gonna tape these wires together and store them along these brake lines out of the way. Now that everything is fed through the firewall that needs to be fed through there, you got to get the stuff from under the dash up to the pillar pod. So I'm gonna take this pillar pod out. Someone has put a boost gauge in here, kind of unprofessional like. So I'm gonna reinstall that boost gauge in the lower part of the pillar pod because I got a triple pillar pod. I'm gonna take this loose. I'm going to take the pillar pod loose, and I'm probably going to cut a slot in the pillar pod so that I can attach my 3-gauge pillar pod and have the wires run through it, and then attach the 3-gauge pillar pod to this. I've seen some people cut these off up here near the ceiling and then just run the pillar pod through there. It was designed to possibly replace this if you wanted to, but I just normally modify it. So you got to get something real sharp, tiny screwdriver, penknife, something like that, to try to pop this out without breaking it. It's hard to do that. These things like to break. Well, actually, that's not even attached, so I can pull that loose because that's already broke. Put that out of the way. Now I could get things past behind this dash. You can see what the previous person did with this tube and stuff like that. They just attached it to the outside of the pod. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to run it back deeper behind the pod. So you pull this loose. It just pulls in and over. Then there's a screw. You pull that screw out. Now you can pull the dash back a little bit and get things tucked behind the dash. Don't pull too hard because you don't want to break the dash if it's not broken already. But you want to be able to get things loose. You can also pull this seal in so that you have greater access to tuck things back there. So these are the wires that somebody else ran back there. I don't know where they ran them to, but maybe they ran them to this electrical accessory thing over there. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. There's an electrical accessory thing here that somebody probably already tapped into. Maybe that's why they went over there with it. So we'll make a decision on that here in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to pull this pod thing loose. This A pillar cover is behind your B pillar. You grab it like this, you pull that loose. You move your hands down, you work loose the snaps. You lift it up, drop it down out of the way. Now you got this little clip here. You turn this clip, quarter turn, and massage this out of there. That you pull this one down and out of the way, pull this one up, and untuck them from each other. The one in the back is on the top. Try not to break them. Now that you got that position where this A pillar is on the outside of that, you grab here and you pull these in, and it'll unsnap that. And then you can pull that out. This normally comes out a little easier than this. Let me grab it with two hands. The snap that went there was tight for some reason, so now I can pull this in like this. So you could do it one or two ways. You can run the stuff on the outside of this like this, but I like to run it on the inside of this. Let me show you the 3-pillar pod thing that I have. I purchased this from IPD, and since I have a donor car, I'm going to take the piece out of the donor car from there to up here and cut it and lay this over it so that this is the only thing covering this section here. It's got a couple of screws in it, a couple of screw caps that make it look attractive. Let me go ahead and unpack this. So this piece is designed to replicate the original piece. Like I said, you have an option to just use this to totally replace that piece or lay it on top. In the past, I've been laying it on top and cutting wires under it, but this time I'm going to just have it in this pillar position. Now, it doesn't have clips on the inside of it like the original one does. 2 clips there, 2 clips there, a guide down on the end. That guide slot on the end hooks in here, and those clips clip onto these posts here. One pushes in there, pushes in there, pushes in there, pushes in there. Now this replacement piece, it'll slide in here. The dash will pretty much hold it in place. Then you put a couple of screws in it, so it'll sit on here like this. There'll be a screw there to hold it in place and a screw here to hold it in place, and that's what you're left with. Now again, you could put this on top or under it. It's up to you. I'm going to install this like this and not have the piece under it, and I'm going to give the owner this piece here. He could put it back under there if he'd like. Then I'm going to have a piece going from here to there to cover this stuff up here. So let's keep it moving. Now, a boost gauge is used by vacuum. That's what that hose is for. Unfortunately, they ran the hose through the door instead of connecting to the boost gauge hose that you see there. So you could put a T in this boost gauge hose situation under the dash and have a functional boost gauge that's making this boost gauge function and still allowing that one to function, which is nice. If I don't have a T, I'll have to discontinue that boost gauge and just let that one not function, because this is a more accurate primary one. This one actually shows you boost pressure, where that one just swings from vacuum to boost. This one will actually give you boost readings. I don't know the quality of this gauge, but it's what's in the car, so I'm gonna make sure it functions properly. Now these wires here are for lighting. Of course, the black is for ground, the red is for 12 volts. So I definitely want to run 12 volts up there and a ground up there. An additional wire that a lot of these boost gauges use is a dimming gauge. So when you turn your lights on, it will send a signal to the gauge to dim the gauge, often like 25%. I wish it did 50%, but it is what it is. They designed it, not me. So let me take this boost gauge part off of here and see what's on the back of this boost gauge. So this is what you see back here. See this orange wire with the white stripe? That is likely the dimming wire. The red is the light, the black is the ground for the light, and this is the vacuum hose that somebody barely had connected to there. So we're gonna cut this loose and do what we're gonna do. Well, to my surprise, this is a glow shift gauge, which I kind of like glow shift gauge. If you can see in there, it is on 0, and it has boost pressure, PSI, 10, 20 is in the red, 30 is in the red, and it's got inches of mercury vacuum. So this is likely a good gauge to use. These are the kind I normally buy. I normally get them with a black ring on them. This one has a silver ring. I don't know if that matters, but I'm gonna take the ring off if I can and try to paint it black. Put it back on. Let's see if it'll come off of there. Seems like the ring is pressed on there. It doesn't come off. So I'm gonna put some tape over the glass and spray paint this thing. Let me get to work on that so it can be drying while I do this other stuff. Put tape over it, ran a razor blade around it, pushing the tape in the middle, then I'll peel the tape off, wipe my finger residue off of the silver part, and hit this thing with some spray paint. Another thing I like about the IPD pillar pod is the angle that it holds the gauges are almost 90 degrees. So you don't have a need to have a shade over the gauge like on this one. It was still pointing the gauge up in the air on the pod. This one, the gauges point flat pretty much towards your face. So let me go ahead and paint this gauge ring. Got it painted. Coat is a little thicker than I'd like, but look like I got good coverage on it. It should be fine. It'll look better than that silver ring on there. So let me let that dry while I work on other stuff. I'm gonna need a battery to test for power to get these 3 powers I want. One power with the light to dim my gauge. I want a switched power with the ignition switch in the run position, and I need a power just when I turn the key to accessory. So let me get these 3 powers sorted out and get this moving. Tried to tighten this nut on here to get these wires tight on there, and it stripped. So I need to find a new nut for that. Gotta have tight battery cables. I'm not totally sure where these wires come from, but they work. This one is a ground. This one is a switched power. So when you turn the power to accessory, this comes on. So I'm gonna run these up here and branch off a couple of wires on them so somebody could use them to run the boost gauge and any additional gauge. Now I'm trying to figure out where the best place is to get a switched light. And here's the light switch. When I switch the headlights on, I want a power to dim these gauges. And it appears that the best place to get that from is this rear fog light. This yellow wire gets a 12 volt signal whenever I turn the headlight to on. That's when I want this gauge to dim. So I'm going to wire a yellow wire up to that and run it up to here, and that'll be the wire for dimming your gauge. Anytime I use one of these connectors, I like to strip the wire back a little bit. So I did that on both of these. Now I'm gonna turn the headlight on and the ignition on, see if I get power up here. And I'm also make sure I'm still getting power here so that I know I didn't damage that wire. So I have the ground wire back probing that. I got the multimeter set the voltage. I stick it down, back probe the yellow thing. I have nothing. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna turn the ignition on. You'll see the lights come on in the dash for the ignition. And you should get no voltage. No voltage. I'm gonna turn the headlight on parking light. No voltage. Turn it on headlight. And you see voltage there. So that circuit is not broken by my little jump. Now I'm gonna take this, stick it on the end of this yellow wire I have running up here, and I should get 12 volts. There it is. So my wiring is successful there. Let me go ahead and slide this switch back in the dash. I turn that headlight off, and I have no voltage there. All right, that's a good switch place. If you're looking for power to dim your gauges when you turn your headlights on, this yellow on this rear fog light switch is probably the best place. Gives you a little slack, and you do the little piece of wire to go under the speaker and up here. So I'm gonna split this off to two smaller wires so that two different gauges can use that. Or you can switch it off to 3 wires. But I need to find some thin wires like 18 to 20 gauge. I just split this yellow wire off to 2, one for the boost gauge, one for a gauge they may install later. I tested it. It is getting 12 volts when the headlight switch is placed on. Now I'm gonna run these 2 wires up there. This will be a ignition accessory positive, and this is a ground. And I'm gonna run this up there, and I'm gonna split them off so they can be used for 2 gauges as well. I took the vacuum tube, dropped it down through the speaker thing, through the access behind the ductwork, and was able to get it to come out by the wire harness down there. And I disconnected the original boost gauge and connected that. If I find a T, I'll hook it back up. So now I'm gonna take this and run it back behind this corner of the dash through a little hole right there. Here's the accessory connector that the tuner suggests that you tap into. And they have this radar detector system tapped into that. So I don't know if I'm gonna use those wires or not. Double tap wires. Let me think on that for a minute or two. I don't know why. Oh, they didn't want to cut the wires. They wanted to leave the plug there, so they left it on both sides. I could actually take these connectors off and wire another wire in there. I think this brown is a ignition switch accessory power. This black is a common ground. This pink is a light switch. Not sure what the blue is. And I want to say this red is a constant hot. Let me hit that real quick and see. I was right about these wires. My wife found a vacuum tee, so we're going to hook up the boost gauges so both of them work. I think I need to put a zip tie on this vacuum, so I'm going to go grab a couple of small zip ties. I'm going to store all this stuff. I got the vacuum teed off, and then I'm going to plug the gauges in up here, which should be quick and easy. Put that pod on. I might mark and drill a hole in this metal to get the pod to stay in a proper position. I'm going to cap off the wires I'm not using. I'm going to hook up to the wires that are bare. So I got a light switch. Green is power. Black and gray is ground. And those 2 harnesses for the AFR. Also need to put a new vent in here. This one's busted up, or take it out and fix it. A lot of times you can just take it out and clip them back together. The power and ground that was running maybe to that plug there, I zip tied it up there out of the way. I tucked the vacuum lines up. I zip tied that power and ground over this side as well. I zip tied the harness for the AFR gauges, both harnesses together, and I took them under that big plug there. And I took those spare wires that were coming through the firewall and tucked them under the carpet. So I should be good to go. I see here that I need to hook up my steering rack. So I need to find a screw, bolt, and pin for that. And then I need to find the clip that goes here. I don't know if I had that or not. I don't think that was with this manual swap kit parts that I got, but I'll take a look. So anyway, let me hook up this steering rack, then I'll be ready to hook these gauges up in the pod. Still haven't done that yet. Not sure what size drill bit I used to drill through the pillar pod. I put a hole right there, right where it took its turn, and I put a hole right there, right under this strap there. And that's where that thing's going to screw in. So I need to pull a little bit of line to hit the boost gauge and then connect these things. One thing that's always challenged me is clocking the gauges right in here, because I have a problem knowing what angle this sits at. And I get the gauges in here and they're so tight you can't spin them. So I would set that up there and put like a little dot or a little cut on the bottom of each one of these holes so you could know how to clock your gauges in there. So let's assume this is positioned right. I'm gonna put a little mark on the bottom of each hole so I can clock my gauges with it. The gauges fit real tight in here, so sometimes you don't need the back bracket to hold them, although it wouldn't be a bad idea to put it, especially if you end up trying to sand these holes open a little bit to get your gauge in there. Then it may be a little loose and you'll need the rear bracket for them. But the first gauge was going in so tight, I don't think I'll need it for it. It'd even be hard to clock them once they're pushed all the way in. So try to push them in straight the first time. Got my boost gauge set in there. I nicked up the ring that I painted pretty good, so I'm gonna have to go over that with some black paint, probably with a brush. Try to drill a hole, because once you get the gauge in, it's hard to set that hole. So hopefully that hole's right. Let me go ahead and set the AFR gauge in there. Now I have to reach these tubes and stuff up here and hook up these wires. So I normally lay this across the dash, hook everything up, and just pivot it back in place. All right, let's see if our boost gauge is working. Bam. It is working. And when I turn the light to on, it dims a little bit, probably 20%. So we're good to go on the boost gauge. Now, if somebody needs to wire another gauge up here, we have the power, the ground, and the light in this blue tape here. So that's where it's stored at. Let me go ahead and plug in my AFR gauge and secure this gauge pod. That's going to be a blank for now. You want to try to make sure all these wires are secured in these clips and stuff so that they don't float around and poke out of your pod when you go to secure your pod in. You want to make sure all these wires are secure in there. Well, that blue tape didn't hold worth nothing, but it's there. And I got those wires clipped under there. And I want to bend them in a way here so that they don't stick out of the gauge pod. They look ugly when they do that. I got these two clipped down there. So now let me swing this in place and put the two screws in it with a Phillips screwdriver. When I fitted this up to the roof liner so it would hold that position there. Then I came across here. It might be up just a little bit further than it should be, but I'm gonna put that other trim piece here that I'm gonna cut off that other car. It looks a little high down there, so I could probably have shifted it forward about 1/4 of an inch, but that would have been off of the roof liner. So I'm not sure if that would have been a good decision. So it looks like it may be a 1/4 of an inch short. Then when I come around here and look at this trim, I got a gap there. So I'm gonna put a piece of tape there to kind of fill that. But again, you could pull this off and put the original trim piece in and put this on top of the original piece. I think it looks a little better without the original piece under it, like I have in my other car. But when I turn the key, we should have both gauges now. Again, when you turn this on, you do not want to leave the key in the run position long without the car running, because that O2 sensor is getting hot and you need air, exhaust air going across it so it don't burn out. But there we go. It should be on heat. There it is. And we're good to go. So let me shut this off so it doesn't need to heat up. But we need to put a gauge in there, so I'm gonna put a piece of construction paper over that. If I find some black paper, that is. I was wondering why this didn't sit in there as tight as it should, even though that screw hole's busted. The top clip is busted too. I put a piece of tape on a piece of cardboard to hide that gap. Put this in there. Now, it kind of hides that space in there. You may be able to put your finger in the back of there. Nope. So that's that. It's not a eyesore. You have to look twice to see it. Well, that's it until I go get this piece. So let me go get this piece out of that other car and go from there. I'm gonna have to check my storage for a piece to go here, because I went to get that out of my parts car, and as soon as I grabbed it, it shattered in my hands, and it was gray, not charcoal black. So we're going to keep moving forward. I'm going to check my storage for one. That's the piece of cardboard I put in there with black Gorilla tape over it. And again, down there, just see that little gap. I put the speaker back together. And next, I guess I need to bleed this clutch. Let me see what time it is, because I may be done for today. Yeah, it's past my cutoff time, so I'm done for the day. I'm going to dry this car off on the inside and close this up. We learned that the ashtray was missing parts, so that did not function. Didn't even have a front door on it. I have a front door, but it's missing the real part, so we'll see what happens there. Maybe get that out of the parts car. All right, let me get out of here for today. I guess this is not working. Oh, great. Oh, I got the door latch thrown. Yeah, that's busted. Not working at all. Let's see if the lights work. The key's off, so the lights are not working. But this dome light should be working. We got the door light on there. So I'll ask him if he wants a dome light repaired, replaced, whatever it takes. Few things completed today other than what you already seen. We got the battery tray in and that AFR gauge system all hooked up, the boost gauge all hooked up, and we're going to shut it down for the day. Pick it up Monday. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.